Next up at UFC Nashville, we have Diego Lopes taking on Gavin Tucker. Jacob and I are going to definitely disagree on this fight. We got Diego Lopes, 21-6 overall, 2-3 in his last five. He's coming off that short notice loss to Movsar Evloev. He's taking on Gavin Tucker, 13-2 overall, 3-2 in his last five. He is coming back after a knockout loss, but 2 years away. Gavin Tucker is a high-paced guy. He moves forward with striking. He finishes the distance with takedowns. He'll come forward, shoot, shoot. He sets a great pace, and while he is hittable, he's definitely hittable, he is pretty tough. I get it. He was knocked out like instantly 2 years ago, but it was 2 years ago. Let's assume his chin is recovered. He averages 3 takedowns per fight, and he had 7 takedowns against Billy Quarantillo in 2020. He doesn't necessarily have big one-punch knockout power, but between volume and takedowns, he can create openings and get finishes. He's taking on Diego Lopes. Here's my breakdown on Diego Lopes, okay? He is a talented kid. He's going to bomb away in his feet. He gets pretty wild and loose striking. He chases finishes, but he does throw in combinations, which is nice. Doesn't have much to offer in the wrestling department, but has very good jiu-jitsu. He won a couple of scrambles against Movsar, and he really made Movsar work in that fight. Diego Lopes is a good fighter, but he gets taken down very easily. That's the big knock on him. This line is crazy to me. Minus 237 is bizarre because Diego Lopes gets taken down very easily. And yeah, he's got wild striking, but Gavin Tucker should be the more technical striker. I think he's going to come in, throw, shoot takedowns, and he'll probably be in a couple of sketchy situations. But I think he's going to survive the grappling and ride out a 29-28 or better. Basically, what Movsar did. And I get it. Movsar was like, what was he, minus 600, minus 700 in that last fight? I think this line has a lot to do with the fact that Diego Lopes stepped up on short notice against a guy that people, myself included, thought should have been a 10-1 favorite, and he made it a close fight. And now people are like, this guy's so good. He's getting more credit in this loss than most people get in wins. I think Diego Lopes is talented, but he's 2-3 in his last five. 2-3. I just don't see this happening. I think Gavin Tucker comes forward, keeps the volume in his face, gets the takedowns, and he's going to beat Diego Lopes. Probably beat him worse than Movsar did. I have a half a unit on plus 115, and boy, am I fucking stupid because you can get it at plus 155 now. And we're going to check out weigh-ins and go from there. I get it. Gavin was knocked out. You can call him Chinny if you want. The dude only has 2 losses. He was knocked out by one of the better strikers in the division 2 years ago. That chin is recovered. I like Gavin to get it done, and the Diego Lopes love is bizarre to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I get it because he did put him in some weird situations, but I agree. I remember when I was watching that fight, and I tried to warn people about Evolov. I mean, I was going to pick Bryce Mitchell against Evolov because I knew that Evolov was kind of a pussy, and Diego showed that in the grappling exchanges. But when I was watching that, and remembering that back, I was like, oh yeah, Diego almost won that fight. There was a few people that were like, I think that Diego did win that fight, you know, with his submission threats and all that stuff. And then I rewatched it Sunday, and I was like, holy shit, like that fight really wasn't even that close. Like he had that arm bar in the first round, kind of got mauled the entire second round, was getting mauled the entire third round until he threw up that knee bar or whatever at the literally in the last like 20 seconds, he almost got that knee bar. So yeah, he almost won that fight, but for a majority of that fight, he was being controlled on the ground. And obviously Evolov was trying to, he was doing some weird stuff like, moving his hips out. Oh my God, here comes a triangle and stuff like that. But Evolov was pretty wise to everything. I think Gavin Tucker is going to be pretty wise to everything as well. But Diego, to his credit, striking defense is atrocious, right? I think you mentioned that as well. He does get hit, but he will move forward, and he will kind of. It's almost like the Paddy Pimblett way of striking, right? Just kind of throw your chin out there and just pray that you can land before the other guy lands. And in this fight, I think that he might be able to do that. It just feels like he is just destined for this. He just earned a win. And against a guy 37 years old, coming off a 2-year layoff, just got knocked out in his last fight. It seems like it's just going to be one of those fights where he's going to find a way to win this fight, either in the striking, get him hurt, and then maybe we'll see Diego on top with some offensive grappling. But I agree. I think Gavin's the better fighter here. Anyone that's putting money on Gavin or picking Gavin, I see people in the chat, Gavin Lock of the week, all this stuff. I get it. He's the better fighter. Diego does get hit. He can get controller on the ground. Gavin is a better striker, can wrestle, should be able to stay safe in the grappling. But I'm going to ride the train here and pick the kid because he just showed unbelievable toughness, even though he was kind of controlled that whole fight. And I think he's kind of due for this win. And I think our AI robot enjoys those big age gaps too. I'm going to ride that train. I'm going to take the young kid here in Diego.
If you did nothing else but pick based solely on the younger fighter, I think it's something like 62% of the time that's correct, which is like, that's a problem, especially in this matchup because I've got money on Gavin. And yeah, he's 37. He was knocked out. But it's been 2 years of abuse free, meaning not 2 years of getting his head smashed in fist fights, 2 calm years. So hopefully,
yeah. And I'm picking Diego, but I mean, at plus money, I would throw money on Diego. But anything minus, I mean, he just had to show me enough that I'm putting minus money. I'm putting him in parlay. Some people are like, "Oh, Diego's a lock." It's like,
oh, dude, the love I'm seeing for Diego is wild. Like,
I get it, like because he's a fun dude and stuff like that. But when you're trying to be smart about it, it's like.
Yeah, especially because he's not going to get a takedown. So now we're relying on him to hopefully get a submission off his back or make something happen on the feet. He can't defend the takedown either. So even if he gets Gavin in trouble, so I get it. He's also super young and dangerous as hell, so I get it. This card is going to ruin a lot of people and make a lot of people rich. Like, this is going to be a really weird card. Because would you agree? Like, you could make the argument that almost every single one of these fighters has a chance in these fights.
This one actually seems a little bit more straightforward than the last few.
Really? When I started breaking this down, because you and I both try to
well straightforward as far as like maybe not straightforward as picks, but straightforward as far as like the ones to stay away. Like, this isn't a straightforward fight, but I know to stay away from it. Gotcha. The Billy Q and Damon Jackson, that's not a straightforward fight, but I know it's close enough that I'm gonna stay away. It seems like the ones to stay away from are obvious to stay away from, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So the picks are sketchy, but the bets are a little obvious. There's a couple of obvious parlays.
Seems like there's
here.
some decent spots.
Yeah. Oh, look at you! You got away with words. You know what you said, and I've heard it before, but you said it a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. You're like, both things can be true. That's obviously a common thing. You didn't invent that.
Right.
But you said it, and it was perfect. I say that shit all the time now. Because Tiffany was like...
Yeah, literally. That's how people try to argue all the time. It has to be one or the other. It's like, no.
Yeah, like Tiffany's like, you're a fat piece of shit. It's like, hold on. Both of those things can be true. It's not one or the other.
Right.
They're both true. $7,900, no, I'm not touching it. I already got the half a unit money line on him. I already missed the value. That was dumb as shit. Maybe this line takes off even more and I'll sprinkle a little. Probably not, but I'm going to leave that alone in DraftKings. I imagine you will too. You're going to spend $8,300 on... if he wins by submission or finish, all of a sudden he's the best value on this card. But
yeah, according to the odds, it's already the best value when it comes to DraftKings because he's... what did we look at earlier when somebody was... I can't remember what the fight was earlier. Felt like they were priced a lot higher, but their odds were a lot lower.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a minus 240 at $8,300 very often.
No, not very often at all. And that's actually because it must be when this line moved, because he opened as the dog. Right. So the line started to move, and then DraftKings did their pricing, and then it continued to move. So, yeah, this is a full-blown flip as well. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. And honestly... even if it's not for all the wild shit we put on there to make it the best value in this game, it's just an awesome way to support us and keep this show running. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. $2 super chat from Bulldog Creations. We won him over, Jacob. He hated the show at first, and now we're the only people he watches. What didn't you like? Is it the arguing? Some people can't stand the arguing. Some people love the arguing. Sometimes it's aggressive arguing. Sometimes it's playful arguing. It's just what happens when friends hang out.